Well, hello. Thank y'all for joining us. This is Transform You and Kelly Kuchler. I call her Mama Kelly, so if I slip and say Mama Kelly, it's just a nickname we have for her. It's Kelly Kuchler, and she went through Transform You, our simple transformational roadmap. And I asked her to join us to tell us about some of her experiences. So I'm going to jump right in to the questions. Welcome, Kelly, and tell us. Start with, what do you think are three positive changes you've made over the time of the course? What stands out for you?
Well, the very best one is to see that protector that was self-sufficient. I had no knowledge of her at all. When I read your book a few times, and I never got that revelation. But when we were doing the course, the protector showed up, and the name was so amazingly right on. And that self sufficient person that I've been my whole life looks so good on the outside. But she was just controlling everything so that I could not be who God created me to be. And seeing her now, and how amazingly powerful she's been in my life, it was just so good to see her, but very hurtful to see that all these years that I have not really been me. I've had been controlled by this protector.
Yeah,
Um,
so before we get to the second part, I just want to give some background on that. So, protector is really just the name that we call your coping behavior. We all develop coping behaviors to deal with life, and Kelly talks about hers. And we, in the process, we actually name this part of ourselves self-sufficiency. And so, I'm sure a lot of y'all could relate to being overly self-sufficient, and that was a great insight that she learned about herself. What's another change or insight that you had during the process?
well, the next change that took place was realizing that I was not communicating any um, agreements. I was going along with the flow with everybody in my life and never really making an agreement with myself and them with words, with contracts basically, so that I wasn't able to communicate what I wanted. I didn't have boundaries, but in the process, right there during those weeks, I had three big things take place. One of them was leaving my job, and I did that in peace and love. And even it was very hurtful thing that was happening to get me to leave. It was beneficial to me to leave. The next thing was I had loaned my sister a lot of money to help her get out of debt and to beat her poverty spirit. And I had not done any agreements with her. She kind of said, "I'll pay you back." But I got a piece of paper and created an agreement, and she signed it. So I came across that capability in during the course. And the third one was my son and his wife came to live with me 3 days a week, which hadn't, we didn't have any kind of planning on that. It just happened. And I sat down with them and made some agreements, and we talked about it, and we're still talking about it because they came to do this 3 day a week thing when we started 12, 13 weeks ago. So it's worked out really good. So I've learned how to make agreements.
Agreements. Yeah, in other words, boundaries, right? It's learning to set boundaries that actually make it work for both parties. So the
And you
relate
communicate them. You don't just hold them inside and expect them to understand where you're at and what they're at. You have to talk about it.
so
So,
you had a greater freedom to not only have them but to communicate them to these people that were close to you, and
yeah,
that was a real positive experience for
yeah,
you.
yeah. So, three things happened right away. I mean, God was teaching me how to do this.
Yeah. So that leads us to the next question, which I think you already answered, but you may, if anything comes to mind, add to it. Is, if you're comfortable sharing, what protector or coping behavior did you work on, and how did it change?
Well, the coping behavior I already told you about was self sufficient, and it's changed in a powerful way because I was in a prayer meeting and it showed up like a familiar spirit. And we renounced it and sent it away. So we're going to see how gone self-sufficient really is. But it's been really peaceful. She is not talking to me.
That's so good. So, also, next question, if you're comfortable with sharing, what's a past hurt that you worked on, and what progress did you make on
The, the
resolving that?
the past hurt that's happened to me over and over and over again is people taking advantage of me, and especially financially. And that's not happening now because I'm seeing fairness, and I'm being able to give before they take if I want to, not just to do just not to give as they take. You know, it's been a process of me seeing a pattern in my life, and I hadn't seen that pattern clearly. But it's now I think when you see a pattern, it's a whole lot easier to work on it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what the value of the course is, helps you identify first certain patterns you may have not been aware of, or semi aware of, and then once you become aware of it, it's like it's a lot harder to not deal with them and not execute what you need to do to make them better, because it's just so much more part of your awareness.
Yeah,
So we also worked on the part that we call the true self, is who you really are. And sometimes it's hard to acknowledge, like, the best characteristics of who we are, and to truly take hold of that. But we do that in the true self work. And what are three true self characteristics about you that 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 stand out, or you could say, I am this? What would
I
you say?
am I am loved and I am a lover. That's my number one true self. And the next true self is surrendered and not in charge, letting God be lead. He in fact, when I left my work, he asked me to come be his partner. So I'm in partnership with God. So that's a great new lifestyle. And that's a true self lifestyle. So surrendered to God is really a powerful new knowing who I am and have been. I just haven't been able to live it completely. And then the third is being able to receive. I have not. I had walls, very strong walls, to keep hurt and pain and betrayal and taking up so that it wouldn't happen. But those walls are very much down now. And I find myself being able to receive so much easier.
Mm. Yeah, so you are loved, you are surrendered, and you can receive love. Wow.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
about, that sums it all up right there.
It is. It
It
is.
doesn't get better. So we worked as a couple of sessions on our relationship with God, and we look at that a little closer. How would you say your relationship with God has grown over the coursework?
Well, I think the fact that that protector was so controlling had kept me from God as well. And I saw how separated I was even from God because self sufficient doesn't need anybody, doesn't need God either. But now that self sufficient isn't ruling my life and controlling me and trying to protect me, I know I need God, and I know I need other people. And that knowledge of not being able to do as much by myself as I can in a group. We need each other. We're one family, and that being together, doing things together, um, is so much better with my relationship with God because I was really not listening to him. I thought I was. I thought I was very close to him. But when I saw the clearness of how protected I was, even he was protected out of my life.
Wow. That's amazing. So, how would you finish the sentence? I recommend Transform You because.
I recommend Transform You because when you do the course, it's so much more beneficial than just reading the book, because it's a process. You do it with other people, and you focus more intently on what changes are being made and how to make them when you do it with the course. Because I had read that book several times and I didn't get the protector thing. But when I did the course is when I got it. So it takes more than just reading a book. It takes doing it together with other people.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share? That's so beautiful, Mama Kelly.
Well, what I would like to say is I'm so amazed at how you wrote it 30 years ago, and it's how uh, right on it is even today. That you wrote it when you were kids, and now you're grown up, and you can still teach it and help us to learn it just like you did. And you've been living it for 30 years. So I can't imagine what it'll be like 30 years later as I've been processing and doing this course in life.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I've seen as we've gone through the course, there just seems to be there's always been a loving spirit about you, but it's been amplified. There's even a greater softness, a greater flowing. I don't know how to explain it, but just a flowing and receptiveness that I certainly can see.
Mm,
So I'd celebrate the growth that you have had and continue to have, and you're one of my favorite people here in New Orleans. So
thank
thank you
you.
so much for trusting us
Thank
and
you.
going through the course, and we're so glad that it could be so beneficial to you.
I am so glad it's been beneficial to me too. Thank you for letting me be a part.
Yes, indeed. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, thank you for joining us in this interview with Transform You. If you're interested in possibly joining Transform You, we welcome the opportunity to talk to you about that. What we do when you book a call is that we get an idea of where you are, where you want to be, and whatever is blocking you from getting there, and we let you know what we have to offer. And if there seems to be a match, we'll go ahead and proceed. And if it doesn't seem to fit, we'll send you in the right direction to get what you need. So if you're interested in possibly joining Transform You, go ahead and book a call right now. In the description, there's a link. And thanks again for joining us, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.